I left Ari in her silo, hating that she went back to casting her eyes away. Back in the van, she trusted me with her pain. I felt I was getting close to her. Holding her close to me was an incredible feeling, like that ease and excitement you feel when you finally come home after a long journey. My pull to her was undeniable. My soul was definitely bound to hers. But she would never feel the same pull, not without her wolf. I could feel my chest tightening. She couldn't stay, it would be too dangerous, but I didn't want to let her go.
Don't you dare let her go,
My wolf whined. I might not have a choice.
I can't believe you went back for that thing.
Layla scoffed as she saw me walking through the common room. I had to keep in control. If I spoke right now, I might lose control and tear her apart.
As Alpha, you really should know your priorities. We're only as strong as our weakest link. That thing brings us all down.
My wolf clearly didn't care about control right now. I took a steadying breath to control my tone anyway. You're right, Layla. I need someone strong to be my beta. Someone who can think things through, see the whole picture. Layla's expression brightened noticeably, misplaced pride oozing out her aura. My wolf laughed in anticipation, knowing what I was about to say. That's why I'm choosing Sarah. The moment I spoke my choice aloud, Sarah and I became linked. I could feel her presence in my mind.
What?
Layla screamed. Your prank today made it clear, Layla. You're the weakest link. I heard her screaming profanities as I left. I could feel surprise and gratitude coming through the new link from Sarah. I couldn't hear her thoughts and words yet, and she couldn't hear mine, thankfully. As I started to walk away, Sarah's energy studied mine. She could feel how upset I was. I sent her a directed feeling of, just handle Layla. The further away I walked, the less keen the connection was, and soon I was alone again. I could call upon her, but no invasion of privacy. I walked faster up the stairs. Once in my room, I gasped for air, trying to calm myself quickly before anger overtook me. Even though the full moon was 10 days away, I almost felt as if I could shift. Not that it was possible, but even if it was, I didn't need to be a rampaging beast right now. I was so angry, though, that my muscles were rippling suspiciously, like they wanted to begin transformation. The way Layla behaved bothered me. I could feel my blood starting to boil as I seethed.
banish her.
My wolf growled. My blood went cold. No, it was Ari I needed to banish. My wolf was stunned silent. I stood there feeling small in my human form, realizing I had no choice. Layla would only get worse the more she felt deprived of what she felt was entitled to her. The best way to control Layla was to make her a general, or something. A promotion to control the psychopath. There was no denying I couldn't protect Ari here. She wasn't safe anymore. She was 19 and didn't get chosen by the moon. Why didn't the elders see this as a problem? Or did they forget her age? It wouldn't surprise me if most of the elders had forgotten she was still here. But my father should be aware, right? It must have not occurred to him that the halfling was no better than a human without a conscious wolf. Without her wolf, she was now vulnerable to the bite. Any beast could hurt her.
What if we bit her?
My inner wolf pondered. No, don't even think that. Likelihood of survival was low, and most of those who did survive were found unworthy by the moon and cursed for every transformation after. Every month breaking their bones in order to turn into mangled beasts, never allowed to become the pure wolf, over and over again, turning them insane with bloodlust by night, waking to carnage by morning. Most ended their own lives over guilt of harming innocent lives. Others had to be put down to stop from continuing to indulge their new lust for ripping flesh. Only the ones born into the wolf packs were proper shapeshifters. The moon had blessed their bloodlines long ago. But unlike the lichen, our bite created monstrosities, and they in turn could not bite without killing.
But she's my mate. My soul is bound to hers. Maybe we could ask the Lichen Royals for a favor.
I considered it. If they granted her the bite, would the pack be willing to accept her as their Luna?
I can't believe this shit. I'm stronger than Sarah. All summer I did everything right,
Calm down, Layla.
Sarah said. Her new authority washed over me and I had to obey. I couldn't even growl properly because she ordered me to be calm. You're his best friend. You didn't earn the position. I fought my way up.
He made his choice. I'm as surprised as you are.
How was I supposed to face my family now? Mother was so disappointed when I told her that Elliot wasn't chosen for Alpha. I had appeased her by saying I was aiming for Beta. She had sighed heavily, holding her hand against a migraine, and said, "If that's the best you can do." Now I couldn't even do that.
I may not be as strong, so I'll have to rely on you to help me out.
Was she placating me? Like I'd help. I scoffed at her comment and she walked away. My anger was allowed to build back up and I griped at Elliot. "Can you believe them? You were supposed to be the Alpha, baby. And I was supposed to be your Luna." He didn't deny what he wanted. He slid me onto his lap comfortingly.
I know, and Jason was supposed to be my Beta. It would have been so perfect. But the council chose the Alpha son, no surprise, and it was only a matter of time before Reed chose his buddy, Sarah. He really didn't make the choice based on strength.
Jason didn't really care.
Now, well, hey, one of us could still be Gamma.
You'd rather be Sarah's mate.
I rolled my eyes at him.
You dolt. Sarah's not into guys.
Jason responded, sounding a bit disappointed. Elliot's version of how things happened was unrealistic and held no weight, unfortunately. Everyone knew Alpha Ian had nothing to do with the decision that his son become the new Alpha. And honestly, I couldn't say that Reed's reason for choosing Sarah had anything to do with their friendship. It was because of what happened with the halfling. It's all that stupid mutt's fault. She must be whispering in Reed's ear. I swear, if that runt said anything against me, Jason looked confused.
Why would Reed listen to her? She can't even look at him. She doesn't have the rank.
You saw the way Reed yelled at me, screaming at me to turn the car around. I mean, like I would do that with the storm coming. I shook my head. Then he takes off in that van? For the mutt? I mean, that's just stupid. And they were gone a while. Who knows what that bitch said about us?
I don't think...
Elliot started, but I cut him off. I'm not wrong. She should pay for being so weak. It's her fault Reed made the wrong decision for Beta. I'm going to have to make sure the runt stays in her place. The guys just didn't get it, but they didn't see the big picture. First, I'd kick the halfling mutt down, then I'd take down Sarah in a freak accident and take her place. I had 2 moons until the harvest moon. I needed to secure my rightful place by then.
The silo was not the most comfortable place to sleep with the storm raging on. My secret door kept whistling the wind and rattling. There was a drip coming from the pitched roof that would loudly interrupt my uneasy drifting when sleep tried to claim me. And it didn't help that my brain kept replaying my time with Reed. His every touch, every sigh, every lick. He had picked me up, held me, healed me. His lips were so close to mine. His breath felt so warm on my neck. I didn't know I could feel like that, my body all tense and tingling. Just with the way he said my name, I thought I'd melt. Another shiver ran down my body. Knowing it wasn't my place was one thing, but they couldn't stop me from fantasizing. And fantasize, my brain did. All night. Eventually, though, the misery of exhaustion won over and reminded me I was just a lowly servant and he would be alpha of the pack. No fantasy of mine could ever close that gap. No matter how much I wanted, he wasn't likely to touch me like that again. Know my place. I sighed. The moon knew my place. I should too. I was surprised to see Reed waiting for me when I went to the kitchen just before 5 in the morning. I cast my eyes down and asked if he would like hot or cold coffee.
Hot is fine.
I made a fresh pot and started to gather up some things to make a quick omelette for him. He got off the stool and took my left wrist in his hand. I almost dropped the eggs I was holding but managed to not fumble.
I wanted to check on your injuries.
Oh. He let me set the eggs down. Then he lifted my chin. My eyes had a hard time not looking at him, so I focused on his chest. His hand explored my cheeks, then my neck, then down my shoulders to my hands. This was echoing my fantasies a little too closely, and I blushed. He asked me to sit, so I did, and he checked my ankles.
Found one. Splinter. You didn't feel it?
Honestly, with the amount of cuts I get from my everyday work, it just didn't seem any different. I shook my head. He didn't lick me this time, thank goodness. His claws came out sharp and expertly controlled. He used it like tweezers and pulled the tiny splinter out.
All better.
He smiled. The coffee machine indicated it was finished. I poured him a mug with some sugar. "Is cheddar cheese okay?" I asked, hastily adding, "Alpha?"
For the omelette, sure, sounds fine.
I quickly got the skillet out and set to work. Out of habit, I gave a quick glance at Reed. He was staring into the mug, deep in thought.
I kept thinking about why you'd risk your life over a ring. I heard you. I know that the symbolism of receiving a ring is...
He looked down and let the sentence go unfinished.
It occurred to me, maybe you don't know about the spell on these rings.
Spell? I never heard anything about a spell.
The goddess rings and the wolf rings are all spelled to find their way back to their owners if lost.
This was fascinating. That's quite clever.
It's also spelled to slip off whenever we shift so it doesn't cut off our fingers.
He wiggled his hand in front of me. His wolf ring, a band with moonstone inlay, glinted against the warm kitchen light. I never thought about that. He smiled, a shallow dimple on one side, a slight upturn to the corner of his lips. I looked away. I shouldn't stare at his lips. His perfect, smiling lips that reminded me of all the places it touched the day before. I turned my focus back on the sizzling eggs in the pan, hiding my deep blush.
You asked me not to send you away.
I dropped the spatula. I picked up the dropped utensil and tossed it into the sink, quickly grabbing another spatula to flip the omelette.
Sorry, didn't mean to scare you.
I plated his food for him and handed him a fork.
I just want to know what your plan is.
I didn't know what to say.
Ari? Look at me. Please?
Oh, I couldn't. Not only was it not my place, but I was sure he could read my thoughts if I did. I shook my head. It wouldn't be proper.
Even when the Alpha asks you to?
His voice was gentle, not commanding, but I looked up. His perfect smile wasn't there anymore. Neither was my blush.
It's easier to communicate with you when I can see your eyes.
Even if they're creepy.
Tell me your plans.
I thought I might get a job in town. I plan to leave by spring.
That might be okay. I'll need to think about it.
Reed nodded. He set his mug down.
Why do you want to stay?
Because of you. I couldn't say that. This is all I know. Reed looked sad. He took his plate of food and left.